we have an episode of Middle Ground. Jubilee. Sex workers and virgins. This should be interesting. I don't see this one getting very heated. I feel like this is just going to be a nice, conversation. Hopefully, unless the questions are weird, which they're probably going to be. I don't know. Let's see what happens.
I had my very first escort session. I had this background feeling that I was going to feel like gross. And then I remember I went through the session and I left and I was walking down the street with a couple $1,000s in my pockets. And I was like, who exploited who here?
She asking the real questions. Bro.
Step forward if you agree. I judge the other side.
Wow. She was quick with it. With the quickness, bro.
It's hard for me to reconcile, unfortunately, sex work as noble or something that it's necessary for society.
Totally understand. But also, one of the oldest professions is sex work. One of the things that almost every human does in the world is sex. So the idea that we actually do this for money isn't too far out of the ordinary, My dad was a pastor. So it's understand, I didn't grow up in an idea where sex work was okay. But I did grow up in an idea where it's I want to learn, I want to experiment. And one of the things I wanted to always learn about was what my body does. So what made you
He's a
decide,
biologist, to be honest.
In a place where you decided, is it religious? Or
Yeah, so it's definitely a Jesus thing. Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and so
It'd be
I
that.
totally believe that part of me is something to be shared intimately with the person I'm choosing to spend my life with.
Can I ask the disagreeers to step forward?
I don't judge.
I feel I disagree because,
understand why you
I do you, bro.
people access to your body in that manner, which opens you up to so many more risks with STDs, pregnancies, all that stuff. I could not do that. That is not me.
Okay, here's a good example for that. It's
Okay.
My other job is doing stunts. I light myself on fire. Is there a risk to that?
Yes.
But it is an educated risk because I know exactly what I'm doing and I know how long to burn and I know what's going on. Same thing with sex work. These are all educated risks that we take.
That is our job. Our body is what we use for our job, so we take care of it. We get tested, we take care of our health. We are very, very adamant about that.
But I just cannot get on board with
Valid.
our bodies being a product all the time.
But isn't that how every job is? When I was working in retail, my body was a product. I'm lifting heavy things. I'm working in, weird, nasty work conditions.
She kind of spitting right now.
Every job I've had has required physical labor of my time and body, and I'm required to be there.
We all sell our body, just depends on what part.
Sexual selling is very different from what I do, which is working as a nurse in a hospital.
But you're selling your time, your physical ability, your knowledge, and your emotion because that job is very draining on your mental health. We're doing the same thing, except we're just showing nudity and pleasure.
I'm kind of with them right now.
32,
They spitting right now.
I'm a sex worker, and almost 100% of that is doing porn. When I was younger, I had girls tell me I was
Good for you, man.
in bed, and I had a small penis. I wanted a challenge. I always like doing things that not a lot of people can do. I want to be able to prove that I can do it, and so that's why I got it.
He basically did it to flex on the haters, bro.
World a better place.
W-mans. I feel like if people are happy, what they gonna be mad about? You know what I'm saying?
I've had so many clients.
That's probably
I had one guy
one thing.
whose wife had died, and he'd only been with her his whole life, and she had just died a year ago, and he was like, I don't know how to date again. He didn't want to get into the emotional part where he was interwoven with a new person, and so as baby steps, he came and saw me as an escort. Or there was another guy who was dying of cancer. And he was like, I'm not in a position where I can get laid on my own, and I don't want to die without experiencing intimacy with another person. And I got to be that for him. And just last year, I looked him up and I found his obituary. Those encounters are what make the job valuable to me. Because this is not just a casual physical experience, right? You're touching somebody's soul, and I am so thankful to have been allowed the opportunity
That's an interesting way to look at it, though.
Sometimes I get the feeling
High key.
that we save lives. Someone having a bad day, a man might want to be a little violent, but instead, he goes to the strip club, or he watches a little porn, or he, spends time with a provider, and that brings him down and it levels him out, and he gets that intimacy that he's missing.
I have a suspicion that we save marriages. Like, I saw so many husbands who were like, my wife hasn't touched me in 6, 10, 15, 20 years. And
Yikes.
I need sexual outlet. And the fact that they can get it with an escort preserves the marriage. Otherwise they would leave the wife and the house and the kids and everything would explode. It's like a controlled release.
I got thoughts.
Okay, so I did want to address the idea that you said that you having sex with a husband saved the marriage. I don't believe that's even possible. How can adultery save a marriage?
My perception is that this is like an inadequate Band-Aid to cover a wound that doesn't have another way to heal. And so I'm not saying it's great. I'm saying, yeah, you're correct in your criticism. I would not like to be in a marriage where this was happening without my knowledge. But I do suspect that the alternative is the destruction of the marriage.
I'm gonna share something. So I looked at porn when I was in 8th grade, and just kind of hearing, it's crazy, I'm getting a frustration because I'm like, oh man, because it really put me down a bad spiral. And I just started thinking about myself. I started thinking about women really inappropriately. It's because porn puts this idea in our mind and kind of scares us. I think it scares guys away from actually talking to women, actually.
Yeah, I also want to validate the fact that pornography can cause these effects in people. Some people watch porn and they have a really negative reaction, or it causes you to feel this objectification of women that you don't want to experience. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that and be yeah, maybe some people just shouldn't watch porn. Maybe it's bad for them.
I was watching an
Facts.
interview the other day with Angela White, another porn star, and she said this thing that just blew my mind, where she was like, we don't watch Fast and the Furious to learn how to drive. We don't watch porn to learn how to have sex and intimacy. Porn is entertainment.
Yo.
That's so hard though, because so many people
I never heard anyone. That's crazy.
watch it. If that's the avenue
spin.
they go towards, that's what they're gonna learn from, and then they're
But
going
again,
down a bad
now
path.
you're still splitting that path of because we're having sex on camera, it is entertainment.
What would be your solution to be if you do have those unsuspecting audiences? Is there an advisory? Is there something that says?
No, because it doesn't matter what you do, people are going to find it. Now, what I think, better education, better parents, better teaching, because when it really comes down to it,
It's all about
me doing
education.
this job and being chastised for doing something that as an adult that I want to do and I want to strive to do better is a completely different thing.
I'm Rudy. I'm a virgin. And I believe sex is a beautiful thing that God made for two people. I view the sex industry as something very taboo and full of people who may or may not have had a different choice or thought of a different option to provide themselves a better life.
God
Interesting.
cares about our sex lives.
I believe that God created sex. We are all sexual beings. Unless you're asexual, I guess. But sharing that with one person for the rest of my life, that is so appealing to me, because then I feel like I can give my fullest self to them, and I would hope that they want to do the same with me.
I feel like God is involved. And that's why people thought I was crazy when I said, yeah, I want to be actually praying on my first time. People thought I was crazy. But there's emotion.
I ain't never heard nobody say something like that, yo. Good for you, man. You really learn something new
I
every
used to
day.
be very Christian. I was homeschooled.
Girl, same.
Homeschooled, yeah. My dad's a professional evangelical debater
wow.
who
Oh, wow.
has a radio
Like
show
an
and writes
apologist?
books. Yes,
Oh,
he's a
God.
Christian apologist.
Wow.
I was raised, no kissing, don't hold hands. I was till marriage, absolutely. But there was a sense of this sexual act is really elevated. A lot of it from my frame is that we're sort of participating in a social ritual where we all give this act a huge amount of power, which is not my deal, but I really resonate with the strength that can hold.
So I also grew up Catholic and, grew up in my Catholic shame bubble. I would masturbate and then cry myself to sleep and be like, God hates me and I'm going to hell. And then I
Yikes.
just kind of opened my eyes to the world and was like, you know what? People are out here raping, they're out here murdering, they're out here doing some crazy ass shit, and this world is fucking awful. I don't think God is down, looking down on the world and seeing all that and going, God damn it, Avery's sucking a dick again, like,
Yeah.
another check, like,
They
she's
probably
gone,
ain't that
I'm
deep.
like, no.
Are you at all worried that
I feel like it ain't that deep, yeah.
by creating porn and all that stuff is feeding into a very real addiction that a lot of men suffer with?
So
Most men
the difference
don't
there
want
is,
it.
with like the mainstream porn that I do, yeah, it can be hella skeezy. They give you skeezy, storylines and stepmom this and step this, and it gets real skeezy, But then when you take it to the other side of the porn, I can put out the product that I want to. I can help educate people. I can put out ethical porn because I'm making it. My name
That's
is
valid.
Avery.
It's about
I am
the,
27 years old.
who's
and
making it
I
and the
am
consumer.
a sex worker. It's weird because I grew up super, super religious and, used to give chastity talks at church and chastise my friends for being sexual. But
Wow.
I actually find that I'm not as bitter towards my religion anymore since I started this work because somehow it's kind of reconnecting me to it in a way. Just seeing that and hearing from people that I'm
I hate to be
putting good
that
out.
guy. I hate to be that guy, but she has the same haircut that Danny Brown had in like 2010, 2011. Like she looks like Danny Brown, but like since he got his teeth fixed, but with his old haircut.
Out into
Like-
the world, and I'm making the world a better place, and I'm making people
It-
feel joy
first thing
and
I thought of.
happiness.
I've had trouble in romantic
But W take though.
relationships.
I was
fiance
expecting
does
some from
not
both.
do sex work, does not. She's only slept with, I think, 13 people, right? Which to me, that's
He's like, that's so little. For me, that's a
like,
lot.
I mean, before I got into the industry, I was over 100 something. So it's a crazy number to me. It's always a very strange thing trying to keep this relationship going in that sense of like what I do, because even it's just there's egos, and she has to see me with younger women all the time, and it sometimes hurts her, But it's like just a lot of communication. And
For me,
I feel like that's
I am
probably the biggest
currently in a
thing.
relationship, and the guy I'm dating, he is actually not a Christian. So I had to have that conversation with him beforehand, like that because of my religious beliefs, I'm not going to have sex until marriage. He's not only honored it, but he supported it. But it does make it difficult because it's like I want to make him happy, he wants to make me happy, and that struggle of like, I guess, fighting against our flesh is going to be a little harder. I don't want anyone to see my naked body until they're my husband.
he hasn't even seen you naked.
No.
Wow.
Sorry, being naked is just such it's like I just walk around naked. It's just like, how long has it been?
Yeah.
It's been a few months.
It was like 3, 4?
Yeah, around that.
Good for you, girl.
That's nice.
Keep that pussy on lock.
A lot of people think that we are
this dude's great.
anti-sex or not sex positive. I
wonder if he, like,
don't think
do
that's
YouTube
true
too.
at all.
I don't know.
I know that I'm a very sexual person. I cannot wait to explore that sexual side of myself with my husband. But that
Look,
is
man, after watching American Horror Story Asylum, look, man, have your religious beliefs, but you can see it, bro. You end up on one of two sides, and a lot of people be acting like they're on one side, but they're really on the other side. It's just, they waiting for that. They waiting for God's green light, and then it's just like wild. I'm telling you, bro. I'm surprised we don't have a nun here on either side, because like it wouldn't be that surprising, bro. It really wouldn't be.
something that I
I'm
want
just
to
saying.
restrict to just one person, and that's how I want to explore that sexual side of me.
I really respect people that think like that, though. I really do.
Just happy to be here.
I don't have a romantic issue with my virginity because they kind of, they admire kind of what I do or my self-control, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So.
Restraint is hot.
Hey, yo! She's trying to get straight to it.
Women who definitely not virgins, maybe not even Christian, come after you because they know you're a virgin. They're trying to steal that card.
Yeah.
And how hard do they push?
It's pretty hard.
Yikes.
I've never been in a circumstance where I had somebody I wanted to date who did not want to date me because of my job, ever.
Really?
Ever. Because the kind of filters I have in place, like by the time we get to the point where I want to date them, like if they've passed all the other criteria that I have, By that point, all of them are just totally fine with sex work. I don't like people who are possessive at all. I'm very polyamorous. In the normal world, is that people don't date each other because of sex work, but that's just not the reality I live in.
See, that's my reality. I have a hard time with romantic relationships because, well, I'm a sex worker, and not only am I a sex worker, but outside of work, I self-identify as a whore. Like, I just like to have sex, and I like to experience as many people as possible. And when I do find
I
someone
respect her for being open about that, bro.
romantic relationships, that's the package deal. You know, I tell them, like, look, I want to be with you, and I want to be in a relationship with you, and I care about you a lot. But I also need to be a slut and have sex with people who aren't you sometimes. I've tried dating, like, other porn performers, and you know, even that gets murky because even with our jobs, jealousy is still a thing. So, you know, I'll be dating a porn star who knows that I'm a porn star, and then they hit me with the, hey, babe, I think, like, maybe you should just start doing, like, content with girls. Yeah, just do girl, and, like, maybe threesomes with me and other girls, and, like, that's it, and change your branding. And I'm like, so you started this romantic relationship with me knowing exactly what the is down, like, who I am, what I do, what I'm about, and you thought that, oh, let me just, like, wait a few months and then I can, like, change. You're like, okay, great.
Yikes.
I enjoy masturbation.
See, because now what y'all, I knew they was, okay.
Hey, girl.
Do you feel guilty?
I think in the beginning, because I didn't know what I was doing and like what I felt about it. The problem is, like, the Bible doesn't say anything about masturbation. So you're like, this is the world of grace.
Yo, she found a loophole. She was like, hey, I done read through this whole thing a few times. A few different versions, few different translations. Not one of them does it say, I can't get straight to it alone. So she was like, bet. Bro, this is actually hilarious. This is great.
But religion says something about masturbation. So, like, does your religion say anything about masturbation? Is nothing?
Oh.
It's more about, like, generalized sexual immorality. So I didn't feel like masturbation was immoral of me. Like, I felt like, oh, this is just me getting to know my body and what I like, and then hopefully pass it along to a great guy.
Yeah, I remember when I was Christian and I was trying to figure out if I should masturbate. I would, like, consult the Bible quite a lot. I would, like, Google, you know, like, is it okay to masturbate for women? And there was no resources for women at all. It was like, men have to control their lusts. And I felt like a crazy pervert because I'm like, oh, I have all these urges that women apparently don't have. I ended up deciding that, okay, lust is a sin, but
that's something too, like, it's kind of messed up that science kind of neglected women for so long, especially religion too, to the point where, like, people just ain't even know what to do. Like, that's like really crazy to me, bro. But I think maybe we're moving in, like, a better, I don't know, bro. I don't know.
Self isn't. So that
hopefully,
if I engaged in the physical act without, like, having any sort of mental process going on, then that would be okay by God.
I'm surprised that you.
Oh, I got answers.
This dude is carrying this entire episode.
I have to save my load to use at work, which is a little graphic, but that's really what it is. So one of the things I have to do, because I'm doing 2 scenes a day, so I can't jerk off. I can barely have sex with my fiance most of the time because I'm doing the job. I'd much rather take that time, go give pleasure to someone else, and actually see that look on someone's face that I gave them an experience.
I would totally disagree.
That's a W take, I guess, considering you know what he does.
Masturbation isn't sin. I feel like there's something that happens. I don't know, like it's just so hard to explain.
I'm curious.
So
I want to ask, like, what is it like to you about touching your own body, that and you know, making yourself feel that type of pleasure? What makes that a sin?
But it's like with me, I just see that God is so high and mighty that, like, the reason why maybe I keep on messing up, because there's moments of I'm sexting, I'm, you know, doing things, and you're like, what? How would you do that? But the thing is, it's like, yeah, I mean, and the thing is understanding that, like, I'm not God, but also understanding that, like, I want to be more Christ-like. Yeah, progressive.
Do you masturbate?
Yes, I have, yes.
Do you do it regularly?
There's moments where it's probably once a month.
What do you guys do when you feel those impure thoughts and you think about it and you want to masturbate because that's your direct correlation to what you're doing?
I call a friend and kind of like, because the thing is
You got a
like,
friend like that? That's
Do you
awesome.
tell your friends why you're calling them? Or do you just call for distraction?
I call, well, it's calling, kind of be like, hey, this is happening right now. I need some prayer because this could get bad. This could be bad because it's like and it's really unhealthy. It's very unhealthy of me.
And if you're in a good church community, you have prayer warriors, and that helps immensely, no matter what you may be struggling with.
That
Being a
is interesting,
virgin
dude.
shaped me in a way of separating myself from the rest of the pack.
I like that. He looks like Thor.
I
When
stopped
Thor was
watching porn
like,
based
you know what I'm
off
saying?
of a flick that I watched. That just just made me just stop completely. I like intimacy, and I've realized that porn doesn't give me the intimacy that I'm searching for.
The sex industry is sexist.
I say can be. Depends.
The
Can
sex
be,
divide
was,
is way
I don't know.
different in our industry. Women get paid a lot more.
It's actually, the sex industry is I think it's one of like 2 industries in the world where women make more than men.
Yeah.
Everyone's objectified kind of, because the men y'all are reduced to your penis.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like, I feel like, and something that I've seen a lot of people and heard a lot of people say is like, women are objectified more, but like, dudes are kind of taking advantage. It's a weird thing. It's very weird. I feel like there's a like terrible imbalance within that whole industry. But things like OnlyFans are kind of, making it shift a little bit, since, most people are kind of doing their own thing. So the industry is kind of like just everywhere. It's not like, motorsport where it's like only a few different companies that have a few different teams. And then, you got people playing on teams. One player might be making more than, another. It's like everybody's kind of just doing their own thing now, I guess.
I know
But
so many people who
it's
recognize
weird.
penises. We have to cater to these fantasies for fans, and there are sadly it's a broad reflection of how the world is. And out in the broad world, there's a lot of men who want to see women get beat and had sex with brutally and just
Yikes.
brutally taken, and that's what they
That's
want.
where I'm thinking the sex industry is sexist, because women in general and the different aspects of the sex industry, I feel like are viewed as less than.
They are. And for me, the one turnaround of it though is
Interesting.
where we take our power back. We enjoy, filling out those fantasies and those role plays to take power over it. The other night I was having sex with a man, and he's like having sex with me, and he puts his foot on my face and is like stepping on me while he's having sex with me. And you see your face. My face, I was in heaven.
That ain't
I was
Christ-like.
there trying to lick his feet, and I was just
Yo,
like,
wait a second. That's gotta be TOS. I'm deleting the VOD right after the stream. That's gotta be TOS, yo. What?
Like, of course, porn is designed for men. It's not because
Whoa.
we don't like women. It's because men are visually stimulated and way more likely to spend money on porn. This doesn't feel like an issue to me. This feels just like
Couldn't
the
be me though,
natural,
but y'all do
way
you.
that we are. I remember when I had my very first escort session where I had sex with my first man for money. Going into it, I was super nervous because I'm like, I had this background feeling that I was gonna feel gross or violated or exploited in some way, a little bit of a fear. And then I remember I went through the session and I left, and I was walking down the street with a couple $1,000s in my pocket because I charged very high rates. And I was
W
Who
bag.
exploited who here?
W bag.
I feel incredible, and I remember feeling.
W bag, yo. For real.
angry at
That's one thing,
society.
it's so crazy to me whenever I see people, especially dudes, it's mostly dudes though, but just hating on sex workers. It's bro, they're in their bag, finessing people for bro, it's not even that deep. People be raking, bro. Corinna Cobb makes $4 million a month, bro. You go to twitch.tv right now, Amaranth is probably within the top 5-10 streamers streaming right now, whether you follow her or not, bro. And she be finesse. She was watching Ludwig one day doing ASMR, just watching streaming. He caught her lacking, bro, that's what you be doing. You be chilling, watching Netflix, watching, it's people really be finessing a bag, bro, so easily. And that's why I don't get how people hate on it, because bro, they literally living their best life, mad successful, and you hating for what? Because you broke, bro? It's crazy to me.
I was
It's so crazy.
Why did they tell me this would feel bad? I feel so good. And it's at that point, it's I don't know, when we talk about sexism in the industry, you could very easily argue it goes the opposite way. I grew up in a
I feel like it probably goes both. Like I said, it just depends on the situation. But another thing too, though, I feel like a lot of people, be hating on it and view it as taboo because of religion and because of religious beliefs that have been kind of passed down on the people. Because a problem is, and this is like a whole different conversation, but a lot of people kind of just go with it. They don't really question anything. They don't really try to, come with, draw their own conclusions or, come to their own conclusions or whatever about certain things, whether it be, sex work, whether it be marriage in general, whether it be, how you live your life, overall. So I feel like a lot of people view it a certain way because of how people used to view it, and they kind of just, they inherited that thought and kind of just go with it. You know what I mean? It's
very
weird.
conservative culture that expected me to become a housewife. But it turned out to be that I was a sex worker instead. I got to escape that sort of life where I was working minimum wage jobs with not a lot of prospects. My family is not supportive of my professional choices. I'm definitely performing an immoral action in their eyes. I am degrading myself and my sexuality in their eyes. I associate it very strongly with freedom, being able to have access to a lot of different choices to make a lot of money that I never would have had the opportunity to have before.
That's
All
a W
sex
right there,
work
man.
should be legalized in America.
See, this is where it gets weird. This is where it gets weird because it's like, bro, you know how many people are well, I don't know about now. I mean, probably, yeah. I don't know about here in the U.S. But a lot of underage people kind of forced into certain things like prostitution or whatever. It's like, that definitely shouldn't be legal. Which, if I'm not wrong, I think they legalized prostitution in New York not too long ago again. Which is crazy to me. Crazy, But at the same time, though, what other ones are illegal? I don't even know. They got strip clubs everywhere.
From all the statistics I know of, let's say Australia, and this is from just the knowledge I've learned from that. Apparently, sex work has actually decriminalized a lot of places. So if you legalize all sex, sex work, you kind of take away that human want. And making it so it's just available if you want it. And also, if you make it available just like prostitution, making that available, you have to make people go through screening. You have to make people get tested. So everyone's going to STDs might even go down.
That's a valid take. I didn't even think about it that way. Cause when I think about decriminalizing, substances, it's no brainer, bro. Because if you make it to the point where, it's safe, cause we're dealing with a fentanyl crisis, bro. It's bigger than just drugs now. All types of stuff is cut with fentanyl and, laced with certain things. It's bro, it's deeper than that right now. We need to get the, but I didn't think about it in that way for sex work. Yo, he kind of spin, bro.
There's a difference between decriminalizing sex work and legalizing it. Legalizing it means obviously the government's going to be into it. They're going to be able to set up health regulations, which can definitely help sex workers. Decriminalizing it just means that you as a sex worker cannot be arrested for what you do. I personally don't believe that legalizing it is beneficial because even in those countries where it is legalized, it correlates to higher rates of sex trafficking. I know I'm not supposed. Yes. And I would have thought that it wouldn't have been that way because otherwise I would have agreed with you. I would have said yes, it should be legalized because then we can have all these regulations in place to make it safer for sex workers.
But see, if you had a governmental body going through, just if you went to a restaurant, there's an A on the door saying food handlers, right? Then it would be, this is a building that is regulated. We have people coming through to make sure everyone coming through gets tested this many times. And you coming in, you have to be tested the day before to actually get checked in.
I guess that assumption is based on if everyone who is in sex work would go the legal route, because not everyone would. When there's government involvement, what does that mean? Taxes. Not everyone wants to have taxes. That's why in New Zealand it's decriminalized, but there are no regulations to keep anyone in that whole situation safe.
I was just on the disagree side because I don't think it should be legalized. I think it should be decriminalized. I don't want the government anywhere near sex work. I don't want the government
that would be kind of weird,
taxing it, making it to where they legalize it, but they're still gonna put loopholes around that.
Wait a second. Hold up. Something just clicked in my head, bro. They're not paying taxes? That's why everybody got OnlyFans right now, bro. They're not paying tax. Nah, bro. There's no way. They paying taxes, bro. I refuse to believe it. They paying taxes, bro.
Danger.
They just trying to cap for the camp. They paying taxes, bro.
Because as long as it's criminalized,
Ain't no way.
We're at the mercy of the cops, and the cops are the biggest threat to female sex workers specifically. Almost every female sex worker I know who's had an encounter with the cops has been raped by the cops.
Sex is the ultimate form of intimacy.
I feel like that's up to, like, you know, personal perception, I think.
Whenever I do have sex that first time, I just don't want anyone else other than my husband to ever see me in that vulnerable state. It's too precious to me.
It's personal possession.
And how can you get more,
That's how I
at
view
least
it.
physically intimate than that? You can get more emotionally intimate, I'm sure, but
Yeah, that intimacy with someone else.
That is another thing, though.
And it's crazy 'cause we're waiting for
okay.
that. You know, we're waiting for that and wondering what that's going to be like.
Valid takes, man.
As a nurse, I've seen, 94-year-olds in the hospital, and just like the intimate relationship that they've had with their spouse still carries forward. Like, people who are quadriplegic, people who no longer can speak, who are more nonverbal, just seeing the dedication day after day, like their visitors, their family members coming in. It's just really nice to see that you can have a circle of different types of intimacy with companionship and the trusting relationship and the physical part of it.
Intimacy is moments in time, moments between people. I've had intimate moments, like I had an intimate moment with you today. Now, was it the most intimate thing I've ever done? No. So I think those moments where you're there with someone willing to die for that person is way more intimate than anything we can find sexually, because sex is something that's gonna happen. When you guys start having sex and start being in there with your partner, it's like you want that to last forever. You want that moment, but it's not the thing you would die for. God, you would die for God. That's an intimate thing. That sexual moment is not. You would die for her for other reasons, not for sex.
This was a great episode, but he carried it, bro. He carried this episode on his back, bro.
Bye.
I know he in pain right now, bro. He carried this entire episode on his back, bro. They were all great. This was an amazing group. Honestly, I love this episode. But, bro, that dude, that's a W man's right there, bro. That's a W man's right there, bro. Some of the best takes, I feel like, from him. But like I said, everybody was great. This was an interesting episode. Hockey, I knew it would be good though, bro. I knew it would be good. But man, and I wasn't even recording that long. That's good.